Good night, Kapeash. This is the late night podcast where we tell late night scary stories of everyday modern day living. Let me get into this. Now, what's up, everybody? I'm your host, Kapeash, where, like I said, we tell everyday stories, modern day stories, and go over anything that we feel like on the late night show. This is the Kapeash. I'm your host, Kapeash. Um, it's really just open discussions. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I do read the comments of what people say. If you do say hi, I do post that. I appreciate people saying hi. But more than likely, just sit here. I know I'm just having discussion of things that I feel is interesting or I didn't know and caught me off guard. And that's what I do on late nights. Monday through Friday during the week, I do have set shows at 12 Pacific. I do have Pacific shows where I do talk about Pacific things. Monday is marijuana. Tuesday is AI. Wednesday, we'll be talking about comic books. Thursday is cop cams. Friday is politics. Saturday, I am working on a gospel section. And Sunday was most likely going to be my off day, but I was working on sports. I be working on different projects. I bring you these stories. I bring you these things. I do everything live under the live section. So do hit the live. You see all my content. I appreciate you people stopping through. Please do not be no stranger danger. You know what I'm saying? Hit the like, subscribe on X, hit the retweet. Please hit the retweet. I see people coming in. I appreciate it. A couple of retweets wouldn't, you know what I'm saying, much help expeditiously. So I appreciate it. Other than that, y'all, other than that, y'all, today was AI. Today was AI. I'm just looking at like, cause I know I looked up something specifically, and now I don't see it. But yet again, today was AI. We had some good stories that did come across the news. I'm gonna go a little bit deeper into some stories. I did cover this one news that caught my interest. So on Tuesday, I will be starting a more than AI where we get into stock. We're going to get into some investment. I'll be working a little bit closer with um, you guys out there and building a team of people that want to get into the AI and put money together. I think that's something that we should invest in. So that's what my Tuesday is going to be consist of. Since it's an hour before today it's up, I thought that I would go back into some more details of the AI in the industry and what is going on. Keep everybody up to par. I will be doing this every Tuesday, 12 o'clock Pacific. Please come check me out. I do have a lot of stories to get into. There's always some type of news, stock market. Earlier today, go out AI Technology Tuesday. We got to see how can you invest into the stock market without just looking straight into it, more of a background looking at things. There's always different angles to look at when it comes to investing. Some of us do get stuck a lot on situations like that. So what I did was took the time out and found a video to break it down. The video, the videos was so good that it sparked the interest for me that I want to share with you guys. I'm gonna go deeper into that I'm putting together of how to create, and I'm going from there. I already been told of some things to look into, and that's where I'm gonna go. Without a further ado, ladies and gentlemen, this is the first story that I want to get into with you to let you know what we are looking for us the future in technology on this Tuesday night.
At the very center of the AI infrastructure boom, there's a 175-year-old glass-making company that's quietly become one of the biggest winners. Corning, famous for making Gorilla Glass for Apple devices, also turns its glass into tiny strands of optical fiber, an essential component of AI data centers that sent the legacy American company's stock soaring.
Almost every phone call I get from my customers is trying to see how do we get them more.
We came here to Concord, North Carolina to see this, the biggest fiber factory in the world, and to its cable factory in Hickory, where Corning is expanding fast to meet the demands of generative AI.
By the time we're all the way done with the expansions, this is going to be one of the largest cable facilities in the U.S.
And that's because people like Meta have such need right now because of AI?
Totally.
It's supplying millions of miles of fiber optic cable to new data centers from all the major players: NVIDIA, OpenAI, AWS, Google.
So what we learned earlier is these companies need people in cities to know how to navigate, put in these fiber optic cables in the town, or even help sell these fiber optic cables to your neighbors and citizens in your town. This is a business strategy to look into, to get into. If you're good at marketing, you're good at selling, you're good at door to door. A lot of people would say I would be in these categories that I just named because I have a very good customer service skills. Like I said, I am definitely looking into investing into some of this stuff with you guys live on the Burn Live channel on Tuesdays. We're going to be putting up portfolios, putting a Discord together, and then we're really going to see what we can do and what we can invest in. I want to do it with you guys and to help build a channel, to help build your pocketbooks and help build my pocketbooks at the same time.
Google and Meta, which just committed up to $6 billion to fill its data centers with Corning optical fiber in a new deal we're reporting here first.
We've got 30 data centers in our fleet. 26 of them are right here in the United States. And we want to have a domestic supply chain that's available to support that.
But as Meta's AI strategy appears scattered and fears of an AI bubble lurk, what happens to Corning if massive AI data center plans falter? And if it is full steam ahead, can Corning adapt and keep up with skyrocketing demand?
We have made since 1970 over 1.3 billion miles of optical fiber, which is a large percentage of what.
Since 1970, some of us will probably not believe that AI technology has been in the working since the 1940s. I think the 1840s, I think it was more accurate at a date, but I know the first breakthrough of AI for as technology and talking to us on a regular basis was in 1940, 1941. I think it's a little bit more accurate. Don't quote me on it. So therefore, to look at how far something's going and how far it still got to go, this is where I'm talking about the investment. It can open up a chain of ideas of what we are looking for in our communities. Ain't no telling. And I'm talking about from the East Coast to the West. Whoever's watching this, I appreciate it. But do think about the investment side of the opportunity.
It's been deployed in the world.
We go behind the scenes to see how Corning turns massive cylinders of glass into billions of miles of optical fiber, including a brand new type invented specifically for generative AI.
All of these now equals this.
With CEO Wendell Weeks as one of the names on the patent.
I think next year, the hyperscalers will be our biggest customers.
And leaders at Meta and Corning say the massive expansion here in North Carolina is crucial to meet the ever-growing needs of AI.
There is a massive surge for this AI, just as it's a massive scare for AI in the same token. It's right now, it's a race upon all races. There's no telling how you looking at it. And like I said, the investments now with also the investments I do want to show us the new side of like what's going on too. You know what I'm saying? Because the government is handing out money, but also the government has everybody has some type of watch, some type of scare. I'm gonna try to cover all of this. I know it's gonna be a lot to cover. Hopefully, I put together a good format way for us to break this down, so it's not over rational. It's very easy to dissect of what we're looking for. Okay.
Tell us more about this warning and the person behind it.
Yeah, that's right. Dario Amodei is the CEO of Anthropic, one of the major artificial intelligence firms out there. Kind of their flagship product is called Claude. It's basically like their version of ChatGPT. And Claude has been in the news lately, launching a new coding tool, a new workplace tool. People have been talking about this company for a few days now. And that makes it all the more significant that Amodei chose to release this 38-page essay warning about the future of AI right now. And the warnings range from everything from the potential for AI to fall into the wrong hands and be used for nefarious purposes to the potential for it to displace jobs. In fact, Amodei estimates that about 50% of white-collar jobs at some point will be disrupted within the next few years, 5 years, because of the prominence of artificial intelligence.
What has the biggest threat? White collar jobs, blue collar jobs, or the poor jobs, I guess you would call it. What has the biggest threat of getting taken over by AI? And most likely, you would really think anything that has to do with a desk and sit down has the best potential of getting taken over, because you do have to look at, I got this office space. I got 100 employees. They're all doing something. If I can get this one computer to do what 100 people can do, I don't have to rent out that building. And if I don't have to rent out the building, that means I don't need you employees. So that's a lot of money that I just saved off a computer that I can take this computer and have it at my home. So downsizing and reiterating the brand is what we're going to be seeing too, and we do have to watch out for that and what that particularly has a common for us or discommon, because it's not going to always be good for us on the bright side. So we do have to look at that, but you know what I'm saying, and genuine that big companies who can take a product and downsize is definitely going to downsize it. And who has a bigger effect? White collars, poors, or blue collars?
So that's not the only warning, though. Tell us about the potential to misuse AI at the government level as well.
Yeah, the warnings here are, again, pretty broad, Kira. The idea that artificial intelligence could potentially be used by an authoritarian government to silence protesters or dissidents, the potential for this to fall into the hands of terrorist groups and be used to basically develop a bioweapon, as we heard in the piece just then. And then Amodei also raises this sort of general concern about how government regulators and legislative frameworks around the world are just not prepared to meet the challenge of a super intelligence. That is to say, an artificial intelligence that matches or surpasses the capabilities of the human brain. But just a level set here for a moment, Kira, that idea of super intelligence, or artificial general intelligence, as it's sometimes called, is kind of squishy, right? The actual definition has shifted over the years and the goalposts have kind of moved depending on who you talk to. So this is something that Amodei raises as a concern, but it's also worth mentioning that these things do change over time and people are still sort of figuring out exactly what some of the terms here mean.
Well, what are the capabilities and shortcomings of AI?
And I think this is where we come in at, where we don't get left behind. There's no sense of getting left behind when we have a chance to stay and keep up with what's going on. There's no need for that. Only reason we should get so-called left behind is for the simple fact is if we're super scared of these threats taking over, that we don't want to be a part of it, and you're one of those people that thinks that they don't want to tell somebody is I told you so. Now, if you're that, then I get it. You're gonna be blind. You don't want to know. You rather hear about this, far as the investments of what we can be doing with this technology. Because yet again, just as somebody is doing something wrong, we also can have the same people here saving at the same token. It's almost a two-way street.
Technology right now. I mean, we don't really know everything and what we're in for.
Absolutely. And it's worth just talking about what AI is capable of at this moment, because there are some very legitimate concerns ranging from AI psychosis, a number of major artificial intelligence companies facing lawsuits related to these chatbots exacerbating mental health crises. We talked about the job concerns, the potential for this to displace coders at scale as well. But there's this old adage in the tech industry, Kira, that I think is informative here. You shouldn't buy a smartphone based on the promise of future software updates. You should buy a smartphone based on what it can do right now. And what artificial intelligence can do right now, while impressive, is still pretty flawed. Even the most advanced models from Anthropic, from Google, from OpenAI, and others regularly hallucinate, which means there's some practical concerns these companies need to answer.
Buying technology for what it can do for you right now. And I think that's just more what we should be looking into and what we should be looking for the future, and not the future as in 10 to 20 years, but we talking about future as in right now. We're talking about future as in what can we see and do for as us right now. I think that's more investment, especially for my marijuana groups that do follow me on Mondays. I think this little bit of AI growing with your marijuana plants, because you may be busy, you have business meetings, you know what I'm saying, you're trying to do that. I think this is another way for us to get into an industry and help another industry out, because yet again, everybody can't get into the marijuana industry. So yet again, there's ways around stuff that we need to look at, and I'm starting to really see and open my eyes to this, and I really don't want us to be left out. You know what I'm saying? Especially the Burn Live group and what I'm building over here. I think we have opportunity. I'm working hard on a lot of big things over here, so I definitely want to start investing into you and into me all at the same time. I think it is definitely time for it. Okay. In other news, I went to my resource of what happened in Minnesota with the guy who was armed. Now that a lot of things came out, I got to see it from my lawyer's point of view, with just looking at the facts and going over the facts, knowing the facts, all the facts. You know what I'm saying? The main cop who I pointed out at first was wrong. Is in the wrong. I'm saying he was wrong. I wish I had Doc and other people here to hear this. You know what I'm saying? Because they won't believe that I'm saying this. But he was wrong. He most likely should be charged and prosecuted for what he did. And I think there was Doc that looked up that all cops and ISIS have immunity from that, but I doubt this guy gets immunity. And if he don't and he gets locked up, I would like to see my guys like, okay, woo, woo. I said it on today, Tuesday, you know what I'm saying? So it's gonna be documented that I said it after viewing certain things. That hey, okay. But yet again, y'all also thought that he was immune. There wasn't gonna be no justification. So I think there should be. I think there's gonna be a lot of outroar, outtake, and stuff like that. You've seen the actions that you've seen that you're hearing in the news. And we're gonna go from there. I just want to point that out. I did want to say it. So people wouldn't think like, oh, well, they still gonna think that. So I don't even know why I even try to state that to make that point. So scratch that. I'm saying it just to be saying it because it's true and it's factual. Okay. Let me just play this statement. I think this is probably important, especially coming out of the president's mouth. I do believe maybe this is what some people are protesting about. I doubt it, but I just kind of want to see if this is what some people were alluding to. Yet again, I doubt it.
Do you agree with the assessment from some of your own officials that Alex Peretti is a domestic terrorist or an assassin?
Well, I haven't heard that, but certainly he shouldn't have been carrying a gun. But hey, look, bottom line, everybody in this room, we view that as a very unfortunate incident, okay? Right. Everyone, right. Unless you're a stupid person, very, very unfortunate incident. I don't like that he had a gun. I don't like that he had 2 fully loaded magazines. That's a lot of bad stuff. And despite that, I say that's a very unfortunate.
Okay.
It is a bit scary to know that the most
Open AI shows up at my door. Here's why So I just want to say that and have that. Let's get back to this AI stuff, y'all. Because just the story popping up, and I just read the title, and these are one of these stories that you hear or run across your news feed that catches your eye, and you might be bored or not doing nothing, and you hear these stories, and these are stories that are a little. Okay, these are the stories that kind of got me going down this AI rabbit hole in the first place. Okay. When you get troublesome stories that it's hard to explain, it's just like, huh? What? Okay. So let's hear this AI story. Break it down as we go to analyze what we hear, and we're just gonna go from there. And I bet it's just gonna be so amazing.
valuable private company in the world has your address and has shown up and has questions for you.
Tyler Johnston runs a small AI watchdog. Last summer, he was out when he received an unusual text from his roommate.
There's someone at the door with documents for you.
It was a man with subpoenas from OpenAI, the maker of ChatGPT.
They were asking for every former employee that we had spoken to and what we said to them, every congressional office that we spoke to, every potential investor that we spoke to.
Tyler is just one of many advocates suddenly being targeted. As public demands to regulate the AI industry have escalated,
AI could put millions of Americans out of work.
Concerns around safety for kids.
Customers could see their bills increase by $20 each month.
AI clips of fake reports even reaching the Oval Office.
Its biggest players are going to political war.
They started texting my constituents.
Google was involved, Meta was involved, OpenAI was involved.
The AI industry broadly is ready to play hardball.
So I started investigating their tactics. I found an aggressive playbook trying to silence critics, kill legislation, and remake government in their interest. I wanted to know, what are AI companies so afraid of?
They can't have any flies in the ointment, which also means no regulation and no guardrail.
So this is boogeyman of the AI world. These tech companies that's taken out in a big bundle, so you don't know the names, but we know the names here. You know, these people actually know. We're going to get to know the names, but this is what we're talking about, getting into something before these big tech industries break into these laws, and we don't care. While people are able to tell stories and get these news out.
And what does it mean for the rest of us if they get what they want? When OpenAI subpoenaed Tyler, it tucked in an expansive demand that hinted at its real agenda.
They wanted every single document and text message and email that we had that in any way related to OpenAI's restructuring.
Founded as a nonprofit by Elon Musk and Sam Altman, OpenAI had for years been raising billions of dollars from investors through an internal for-profit arm. Then the nonprofit board attempted to fire Sam Altman, and investors panicked that they could lose all their money.
In the wake of that, Sam Altman made some promises to his investors that they would...
Sam Altman and Elon Musk. And everybody keeps saying that Elon Musk is my best friend, but yet again, I pull up stories where I see stories and I'm sort of against what's going on. So I'm just pointing that out.
remove the power and control of the nonprofit from the for-profit entity.
But many advocates, including Tyler and Catherine, stood in the way.
We released an open letter. This was an open letter that was asking 7 relatively simple questions, not opposing the restructuring in any way, but asking for more transparency about what their plans were.
But failure to restructure could force OpenAI to give up $20 billion from its investors. The company turned its influence operations into high gear under the leadership of a man named Chris Lehane.
Whoever ends up winning on that ends up building the AI rails for the world. Like, that is a bit of a zero-sum game.
Lehane began his career in Washington, earning the nickname Master of Disaster, in part for helping the Clintons navigate the Monica Lewinsky scandal. He then pivoted to Silicon Valley, working at Airbnb and with the crypto industry.
I think that OpenAI brought him on because they knew that they needed someone who was willing to be as fierce as possible.
Lehane stacked his team with former staffers and confidants of Gavin Newsom, Bill de Blasio, and Kamala Harris. OpenAI
Ooh.
I'm going to personally say that these guys, far as what we cover over here on this channel, is not a very good look of getting in bed with, far as building an industry together. And you know these guys, what we know from what we cover, are capable of cutting corners and doing what it takes to make sure stuff like this, and especially being, you know how they saying government using things in the wrong way? Okay. This is definitely a story that's going down the wrong rabbit hole.
hired a lobbying firm run by Republican operative Jeff Miller, who has deep ties to President Trump. It launched new philanthropic efforts, underscored its economic importance to California, and threatened to leave the state if the restructuring was blocked. With Elon Musk also suing OpenAI for abandoning its mission, the company began to accuse its critics of being his puppets.
They were essentially implying that we were a front for their competitors.
The aggressive tactics paid off. The subpoenas also revealed that this is just the beginning.
I would have been happy to swear to the court that we are not funded by Elon Musk, but it became clear to me that this was not the only thing that they were trying to find out.
Among OpenAI's demands to other groups, documents related to advocacy on AI legislation.
It's very difficult to imagine us figuring out how to comply with 50 different sets of regulation. That will slow us down at a time where I don't think it's in anyone's interest for us to slow down.
For some companies, I think they want a situation like social media.
Rebecca Bauer-Cahan is an assembly member from California leading AI and tech policy.
A law passed in Congress that said that they were not liable for any of the content put onto their platforms. Now they want that for their AI boom, and they don't have it yet in Washington. And so they're going to try to ensure that.
That's a good insinuating question, and something that needs to be definitely well investigated. Do we want AI to have the same laws and regulated as us, far as pushing out content on social media? Should they be able to push out any content with no pushback if we deem it's wrong, or it imitates us? Somebody put out an AI saying that we did something that can liably put us in jeopardy or in danger. Should we go down that rabbit hole and take that responsibility and say, hey, you know what, we're just gonna ignore it and give it to them? Or we take that responsibility and say, you know what, they're reliable for it. They don't get the same justification as us as freedom of speech, because AI definitely should not get freedom of speech, period. I think that's what it boils down to. Should AI get freedom of speech? No. No, 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 no.
States don't act as aggressively as I think our constituents want us to.
Over the last year, Bauer-Cahan introduced several AI-related bills to protect California ratepayers from data centers driving up their electricity bills.
They sat next to me and told me I was going to kill the entire AI industry.
To help creators track copyright infringement by AI companies.
The copyright in general is not the right lever to pull.
And to ban unsafe AI products for kids.
That is what I was waiting for it to pop up. This gets into the part where you get into like the pornographic pornographic exploration, grooming influence through AI. And that's, I knew we was going to cross this line, you know what I'm saying, sooner or later, when it comes to this AI, when it comes to kids. And I knew the main focus was going to be is the influence of it. And the fact of the matter of it can be that, hey, you don't want to groom a kid through an AI, and the kid does something awful, and you can blame it on the computer, and the computer gets the freedom of speech, freedom of putting any type of content on the internet on certain platforms, and then getting away with it. I think that's where it really gets down to it. And I knew it was going to get down to it. I just wanted to make sure they cross their I's and they dot their T's before we cross our T's and dot our I's. And I think I'm going to stop it right there so I don't get too much copy infringements from them, understanding that we definitely going to have to come back to these stories. These are stories of a lovely lady. Come back to these AI stories. Like I said, I think investing and getting into this AI is one of the biggest, best things that I have done. There's so much to get into. There's just cases after cases after cases after cases that we can discuss. It's almost a never-ending story with this situation. And I'm really up for grabs to get into it. I have sent out a couple of videos to some of my peoples. I still got to send out one more video. It just reminded me. Microsoft give FBI keys to unlock the crypto data. What's I am talking about AI and what's going on. Talking about the investments. I'm basically talking about the good and the bad. I'm only 30 minutes in, got 30 more minutes. I was just reading this article. I think that probably needs to go over real quick. Yeah. Microsoft gives FBI keys to unlock crypto data, exploring major privacy flaws. Yeah. I think this is all about sales. Everything is about security. And what I just got done talking about is the fact that with this AI, we do have to be careful because of the simple fact, kids and grooming. We just seen an article where if you give AI freedom of speech, you can give the potential chances of grooming kids into AI ascension. How are you?
Here's your Forbes daily briefing for Tuesday, January 27th. Today on Forbes, Microsoft gave FBI keys to unlock encrypted data, exposing major privacy flaw. Early last year, the FBI served Microsoft with a search warrant, asking it to provide recovery keys to unlock encrypted data stored on 3 laptops. Federal investigators in Guam believed the devices held evidence that would help prove individuals handling the island's COVID unemployment assistance program were part of a plot to steal funds. The data was protected with BitLocker, software that's automatically enabled on many modern Windows PCs to safeguard all the data on the computer's hard drive. BitLocker scrambles the data so that only those with a key can decode it. It's possible for users to store those keys on a device they own, but Microsoft also recommends BitLocker users store their keys on its servers for convenience. While that means someone can access their data if they forget their password, or if repeated failed attempts to log in lock the device, it also makes them vulnerable to law enforcement subpoenas and warrants. In the Guam case, Microsoft handed over the encryption keys to investigators. Microsoft confirmed to Forbes that it does provide BitLocker recovery keys if it receives a valid legal order. Spokesperson Charles Chamberlain said, quote, "While key recovery offers convenience, it also carries a risk of unwanted access, so Microsoft believes customers are in the best position to decide how to manage their keys."
You should be protected unless you commit a crime. I think that's just the simplest way of looking at it. There should be no other real definite way of looking at this. Commit the crime, especially in the crypto, or you try to do it secretly under the internet or stuff like that. You should be able to check it out and see what's going on. Now, under the Privacy Act law that most of these private company gets, supposed to keep our stuff secure. I get it, but yet again, if they come in with a warrant saying, "Hey, this is the crime this person's looking for. We need to check your data," because most of his data or his there's got to be some type of way that you can go through that and siphon out specific what you're looking at. You got to make a program for that, or this right here is always going to be a problem and we're never going to solve it. You know what I'm saying? We're just going to be playing the merry-go-round. And I think they want to play the merry-go-round because as long as you play the merry-go-round, it's like passing money around. Here, I owe you money. Here, I owe you money. Here, I owe you money. Here, I owe you money.
He said the company receives around 20 requests for BitLocker keys per year, and in many cases, the user has not stored their key in the cloud, making it impossible for Microsoft to assist. The Guam case is the first known instance where the Redmond, Washington company has provided any encryption key to law enforcement. Back in 2013, a Microsoft engineer claimed he'd been approached by government officials to install backdoors in BitLocker, but had turned the requests down. Senator Ron Wyden said in a statement to Forbes that it is, quote, simply irresponsible for tech companies to ship products in a way that allows them to secretly turn over users' encryption keys. He added, quote, allowing ICE or other Trump goons to secretly obtain a user's encryption keys is giving them access to the entirety of that person's digital life and risks the personal safety and security of users and their families.
Yet again, I didn't even think we were going to go this deep, but when we're talking about a criminal act, I think that changes the scenario just a tad bit. We're talking about people that have committed crime, not just average patron. Now, I get if they're trying to use y'all for looking for illegal immigrants and stuff like that, and you're trying to go into the servers and they got to read a bunch of people's stuff and try to get a background and break things down when they're looking for a needle in a haystack. Then you're like, okay, how y'all gonna do that? That doesn't make sense because now y'all risking a higher chance of being in somebody's business that probably don't deserve to be in a business. Okay, makes sense. This is the big fight with the technology, man. This is the big fight. We might as well just buckle up and prepare for all the bumps and roads. I know it's going to be a lot of headaches. I can just see it coming, but I am ready. I'm ready to give it to us, whatever it takes, whatever we need to do. Let's get ready for this ride. Let's get ready for what it takes to become a very wealthy group. Fly planes, do what it takes. Make, hey, we're going to live a very busy life. We're finna get into it. I think this is one that y'all would love to hear. I think y'all be like, oh yeah, y'all can relate to this one.
Imaginable levels. Studies show that companies are using AI to set personalized prices according to each person's profile.
Companies may be using your data against you. Shocker. It is called surveillance pricing, and that is when a company sets the price you see based on your unique habits and demographics.
A McKinsey study estimated that AI-based pricing systems can increase a company's revenue by up to 15%.
We found big retailers with little regional competition can extract large profits simply by adjusting prices of essential goods like food items.
Likewise, investigations by Consumer Reports detected differences of up to 116% in the price of the same online product, depending on the buyer's zip code.
Surveillance pricing. That's when companies use someone's personal data, like browsing, even credit history, to sell them a product at a different price than what other consumers might see.
An independent analysis revealed that Uber can charge up to 6% more when the user's phone battery is below 15%.
Uber is in the spotlight as the company faces accusations from a
What they can do if your battery low?
To sell them a product at a different price than what other consumers might see.
An independent analysis revealed that Uber can charge up to 6% more.
Uber can charge you 6% more if your battery is. That's amazing to figure out and to know, to even do. That's amazing. That lets you know we got to really watch it, y'all. Be careful.
More when the user's phone battery is below 15%.
Uber is in the spotlight as the company faces accusations from a Belgian newspaper that it can see riders' phone battery levels and changes rider fares based off of that information.
Even in airline tickets, a report by the Wall Street Journal documented that some airlines achieved up to a 20% increase in annual revenue after implementing AI-based dynamic pricing systems.
Next time you go online to purchase an airline ticket, there's a chance that the price you see was influenced by artificial intelligence.
So, how companies are using AI to charge you more? The concept of dynamic pricing is not new. It dates back to the U.S. airline industry during the 1970s, when ticket prices were still regulated by the federal government. With the approval of the Airline Deregulation Act of 1978, airlines gained full freedom to set fares, and this transition opened the door to the creation of the first yield management systems.
On October 24th, 1978, President Carter signed the Airline Deregulation Act.
American Airlines developed one of the pioneering models, known as Dynamo, which analyzed demand patterns and automatically adjusted the prices of available seats. By 1985, the company reported revenue increases between 6 and 8% solely thanks to these strategies. And by the end of the decade, almost all commercial airlines were applying similar mechanisms. This model was based on relatively simple but innovative principles for the time, raising prices as the plane filled up, increasing fares for those who purchased close to the flight date, and offering discounts only when occupancy needed to be stimulated. The practice worked so well that by the 1990s, it expanded to the hotel sector, car rentals, and rail transport service. This consolidation reinforced the idea that prices should not be static, but should adapt to real-time demand. And major hotel chains still use this today.
Are you wondering why it's so expensive to stay at a hotel right now? What if I told you the rates that many hotels are charging are artificially inflated?
In the mid to late 1990s, Hilton became one of the first chains to systematically adopt the dynamic pricing model inspired by airlines. By 1997, the chain was already using a centralized rate-setting system that compared projected occupancy, historical demand, and seasonal booking patterns in
You just wouldn't think that AI technology was being placed way back then. You know what I'm saying? For as putting it, you just would never thought.
real time. The change had an immediate impact. According to corporate reports from the time, Hilton managed to increase its revenue per available room by nearly 6% annually for 3 consecutive years. It also reduced empty nights by approximately 12% in high-demand urban hotels, such as Los Angeles, Chicago, and New York. The principle was simple but powerful. If a hotel detected that 70% of its rooms were booked for a long weekend, the price rose automatically. Conversely, if projected occupancy fell below 40%, temporary discounts were activated. But this did not stop there. With the arrival of e-commerce in the mid-1990s, a second phase of expansion began.
We have got to the point where literally anybody can build a fully working app without knowing how to code. This is based.
Amazon, one of its pioneers, began experimenting with price variations based on browsing data, search history, and user behavior.
If you're familiar with Uber, you're probably familiar with the term surge pricing. But a new report claims that Amazon may use surge pricing as well.
In the year 2000, for example, specific cases became public showing how the same DVD could be sold with a 6% markup to one customer and not to another. Afterward, the company described these price differences as controlled tests. However, these experiments demonstrated something crucial. Digital commerce made it possible to modify prices automatically, individually, and silently, without the consumer noticing. Between 2000 and 2010, the massive collection of data such
Boy, they cold. They is cold. And this is what everybody's been talking about. This is why they want pricing to go back regulated through the federal government, and regulate stuff through the federal government like this. You might not have these prices, these problems. You might not. I'm not sure. There's no way to speculate and assume. You can only like hope and wish. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully, wishfully, you wish that pricing go back down, or, you know what I'm saying, minimum wage to go up and catch up so things can be evenly and okay. I get it. Trust me, I get it. Y'all, this has been the Kapeash. I just want to tell y'all one more thing. Good night.